All right, so welcome all for this new day with our new topic with lesson 5 macro programs. So, in this, we have 4 topics to cover where we'll be seeing how to create a conditional processing program with macros. Then, we'll see how one can validate the parameters. We'll see how one can write macro programs in iterative processing. And of course, we'll understand what is local and global symbol table. So to begin with, let's start with conditional processing. So conditional processing is same like what we have learned with base SAS. I hope you remember what is conditional processing. Can anyone quickly tell?
If
If
then
then else.
Absolutely. Either you write if then else or you write if then do, depending on a single condition, you are going to create multiple statements, right?
Yes.
Same thing in your macros as well. One can also write conditionally the macro programs. So now objective here is we'll see how one can conditionally process SAS code within a macro program. We'll monitor your macro execution and we'll insert entire steps, entire statements, and partial statements into a SAS program by using your conditional statements. Okay. So let's understand a business scenario. Very first business scenario when we were understanding about macros that you need to create 2 reports. Okay. So if you are generating a daily report, you are going to execute your proc print. In case if it is the weekend, which is Friday, then you have to execute your procments. And you are going to write a macro program for it. So this macro program should consist both procprint and procments. And you need to write a condition that in case if it's the your system day Friday, then only it should execute your procments procedure. So you are creating a macro program called as daily. Okay, so it's a daily sales report which is generated every night, whereas every Friday a weekly report is generated. Determine the best method to automate this report. Yes, we need to automate. Why? Because we are not going to sit and do it manually that every day at night 9 p.m. you are going to submit proc print so that it will generate the report which is a daily report, and you're not every time going to sit in front of your system. In case if it is Friday, again on Friday you need to submit a weekly report which is with procments. So it's going to be a very lethargic and tedious job because you're not going to work 24 by 7 on your laptop, right? And at the same time you might be busy with various other project works. So it's not at all feasible manually to do these things. Hence, we are going to use automation technique with the help of macros. So this is what one great example we are going to learn. So that's what it's telling. We are going to insert or we are going to write a macro with conditional processing. So always print the daily report, and in case if it is Friday, then only it should process your weekly report, which is your summary report, which you have written as proc means on the same table. Only the difference is you're writing the date as if it's a system day -6 and whatever the system date is. So what is -6? Can anyone quickly tell me?
week
So you're
of the week,
filtering,
Current
yeah?
day, we are going back like start of the week, start date of the week.
that is a 6 weeks. Sorry, 6 days of the week.
Yeah, so 6 day is your Friday. 6 indicates Sunday is 1. All right. Sunday is 1. Monday 2nd, Tuesday 3rd, Wednesday 4th, Thursday 5th, and Friday 6th day of the week. So this is where you are tasking that whatever is the system date -6, it will give you the Friday. So in case if it is the Friday, then only it should execute this procments. Got it now?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Swarupa,
Yes.
Priyanka. Okay. So if this is the situation, what we have to do is, so let's create a solution for it. So we can do this by 3 methods. One is you can create multiple macros, include a driver macro. Second method is you can create a single macro with %do and %end statements. Or else you can create a third method where you create a single macro with %include statement. So what is %include? We'll see it. So this is where you'll be looking into conditional statements. Okay. So let's come ahead with your method one. So method one is you create two separate macros. One is daily and one is weekly. So see, you are creating a macro named macro daily. Within it, you are writing procprint, and you're creating another macro weekly, which you are using procmin. So you're writing two macros. Okay. So it's D018 demo. I'll just show you this. Hold on. Once we start with the studio, I'll show you. I hope this slide is understandable. So you are creating two separate macros. One is daily and one is weekly. All right.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Just observe this code carefully. Can anyone reply Arun that we are using a different link? It's not yesterday's link. Just give him in our SAS group this link of our class for Arun. So someone quickly do that. Okay, so this is all about how one can create a library that we have done. Come into macros. So is lesson 5 demo D01A. All right. So see, you are writing one separate this. Before it, I just open up the options. Options are mcompile node. Why? Because I should look whether I get any errors while compiling my macro. Correct? And at the same time, I use mprint in case I require later. I use symbol gen. Okay. So let's create a macro named as daily. All right. So macro daily completed without errors. And we have macro weekly. Fine. So you're writing two different macros, one for daily report, one for weekly report. And now you're writing the third macro called as reports, where you're calling daily, and within it you're writing the condition. If system day is Friday, then call weekly. %m and reports, and you are calling reports. So look at here, understand this. Okay, great. Thanks, Swarupa. Thanks, Swarupa, for replying to Aro.
You're welcome, Ashwini.
So Arun is here. All right. So this is how. See what has happened. We create a third macro called report where it's calling daily, and you're giving a condition. Now look at this condition how it's written. It's preceding with percent sign for your keywords if, then, okay, and you're calling weekly. So what are you telling? It's same conditional statement as your base says if then else. Okay. So you're telling percent if it's a macro variable system day is Friday. See, it's an upcase with F and it's not given into quotes because you know we never write in macro anything in quotes, correct? But it's case sensitive. Person then you are calling weekly. Percent amend reports. Now what is happening because I called reports and because I have included my options imprint, it's within report, it's checking. So because it's been executing, report consists of percent call, which is for daily. So this is what daily it's telling, it is proc print. So it's executing proc print with all the statements and because of your symbol gen, it is resolving the values. Correct? So it's telling no observations. Why? Because in our data set, we do not have the data for current date. Hence, we have no observations. So that is a different case. But then it's percent amend, it's over by running your daily. Why? Because it checked this system date, which is your condition. You're telling if your system day is Friday, then execute or call weekly. But it's checking this condition. So this condition is false, hence it's not calling weekly. Got it now? So this is how your conditional program works with your macro. All right. So this is where we had created two separate macros. First method. All right. Then within this first method, you are creating a third macro called report, which in this you are calling daily. And now you are introducing your conditional processing within a macro language. So understand this is if then else same like base SAS, but you are not writing within any of your base SAS code. You are writing it within macros. Hence, they have to be preceded with percent sign. And percent if percent then is written only within your macro statements and with for your macro variable. If you write simple if and simple then, it will give you an error. So if I go back into this program and I tend to write the program without, suppose I forget to write preceding percent. Okay. Now check percent sign to then. Okay. Because it's a keyword, it is written within a macro language. It's not within your simple base SAS. It is going to give me an error. So see what it's telling, because it's a macro program. During compilation of macro, it is checking for all only the macro statements. So because this started with percent if, it's expecting this to be a macro keyword, so it's telling expecting person then statement not found. So a dummy macro will be compiled. So this is a syntax issue with your macro program. So though you will have a macro generated with the name reports, but it will be dummy because it is having error and it is not going to be executed when you are calling. Hence, it's telling the macro reports completed compilation without errors, but it is saving with dummy macro without any instructions. So even if you go and you call this, it is not going to execute appropriately. Okay. It may give you proc print, but when it comes to your condition, so your condition is not going to work here. See? So it's not understanding this. It's telling because your percent macro was a dummy macro created, it's not able to call this. So it's telling apparent invocation of macro reports not resolved. So when it is looking into your macro processor to resolve this macro program. It's giving you this warning. And because this again moves into input, your input stack and in your word scanner, it finds it's a syntax error during compilation of calling. Got it? So this is how you have to be very careful with the keywords which you are writing with macros, with your conditions, that it has to be preceded with percent sign. All right, understood? So it's a keyword, it has to be preceded with percent sign. See the difference again? And now you compile it again. I hope you people are able to follow what I'm trying to show you on the screen.
Yes,
See
Ashwini.
now, it's telling it's got compiled. And see, earlier it was telling 0 instructions, 0 bytes, but now it is able to compile with this instructions. So it's storing it and now you call it. So while calling also, you will be able to execute without any errors. So meanwhile it gets executed, let's move on. So create a driver macro that always calls the daily macro and conditionally calls the weekly macro. That is what you have done. So you're writing your conditional processing statements within macro, which is preceded with percent sign for this keywords if then else. So it's telling character constants are not coded because we know it's a macro language, and this macro variables within your macro program, no need of giving any quotation marks. No quotation required, and of course it's case sensitive. The else statement is preceded with percent and it's optional depending on your condition. Now in this condition we do not write else, so you did not, or we did not have any requirement of writing any further conditions, so hence we did not use the percent else statement in this current program. So it's telling percent if, percent then, and percent else statements can be used inside macro definitions only. That's why I said you it's a macro program. Percent if, percent then, percent else is written only within macro. It's not written with your base SAS. With base SAS, it's simple if then else without preceding percent sign. Why percent sign? Because it's a macro language and macro language processes only macro keywords. Correct? So within your macro program, this is also preceded with percent. So about your macro expressions with percent if, you know, when we write this expression, if your expression, what same like base SAS, it's just giving you the comparison about what are the arithmetic operations, whether it's allowing within macro expressions, yes, same goes with SAS expression. Logical operators, yes. Comparison, yes. Case sensitivity, yes. Special operators like ranges you can give. In operator you can write, but remember when you write in operators within macros, no parameters are required and no quotation marks for your values required. Okay, remember this, very important. Fine. Okay, so moving ahead now, this is what it's telling about your conditional processing. Same like base test. If expression, then action, else another action. So these actions can follow keywords percent then and percent else. So what these actions could be, either these actions could be a simple SAS statements, or it could be macro language statements, or macro variable references, a macro call, or any text. So anything among this could be your actions. So in our case, in our example, we used a macro call. Got it? Understood? So what is valid when you write this action? You can write either macro language statement, a macro variable, or a macro call, or any text. Fine? Okay. So how do you monitor your macro execution? Yeah, this is very important. Now, earlier when we had called this macro, okay, I'll just re-execute. Earlier when I was calling this macro, you know, this macro got executed and it was just telling when I called, because of my imprint, you know, it's giving me the underline code of my daily. it was proc print. Okay, then within it, it has a statement of percent if, correct? So whether this percent if which we have called or we are calling for weekly, is it true or false? How do you understand? So in log, do you get any message that it's actually executing your or looking to read for percent if statement in this? Do you see anywhere?
No.
No. Correct? I hope you people are following what I'm trying to show here.
Yes, Ashwini.
Yeah. So in case if you want to check that logic of this condition is true or false, let's before calling your macro, I use another system options called mlogic. All right. So this is called macro logic. So it's just checking whether your logic is true or false for your condition. So now I recall my macro along with this options. So with my proc print or with my mlogics and with my percent call. So see, it's telling first of all with mlogics, it's calling your reports. So it's telling beginning execution of report. This is coming because of your mlogic option is on. Then within report, you have called, it has calling daily. So daily execution begins. Within daily, you have proc print statements. So it's reading the statements, but as per your criteria, it is not able to subset your data on this date because your data set which you are using to process an underlying code does not have a data for current system of your system date. All fine, zero observations. Okay, no problem. Post proc print or once your daily is execution is over. Okay, so it's telling here mlogics for your daily end. Why? Because the person daily call was executed and its execution is over. Because of mlogics, you are getting this statement in your log. So this execution of daily is over. Because of SimGel, it's going to resolve the value. So see, it's telling system day is Wednesday. Therefore, when you had called your percent report, it consists post calling daily a statement of condition, which is percent if condition sys day is Friday. So because this condition is false, your mlogics of your or calling or processing of reports macro is coming to end. So this is checking your condition whether it is true or false. And that is why you get this information in log because of this options which you have used called as mlogics. Understood how mlogics is working?
Yes.
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 Everyone? Okay. So this is where you need to monitor the execution of your macro. So mlogic system option displays macro execution message in log. So see, when you call this, this was your macro, you're calling this macro, you have opened your mlogics, it's telling the beginning of reports, telling the beginning of execution of daily, it's also showing the end of daily execution. Then it's telling if your condition. So because it says day was Friday, it did not execute your daily report. But because this condition is true, it is going to execute your weekly report. Default setting of your system is no M logic. Therefore, you open this dialog with SAS to show the macro processing in the backend. So you're opening this dialog by using options mlogic. All right. Okay, now answer this poll. Open this activity A01. What error do you see in the log? Now, before opening this also, look into the code and tell me what is the problem with this code.
Person then.
Yeah, percent.
Okay,
Person.
yes. So go ahead, open this activity, execute it, and check what is the message in log. Everyone.
Dummy macro is compiled.
Absolutely. So it's the same thing what we had seen earlier. Dummy macro, correct? So it's telling zero space of bytes required to store, zero instructions, correct? In log. So a macro named report is created in the memory, but it will not have any instructions. That's what the meaning is dummy. Understood?
Yes.
Okay. Shanmuga, Priyanka, Vikram. So this is what it was telling. So if a macro definition contains macro language, very important. Of course, this is a macro language. Okay, macro language syntax error or error messages are written to SAS log, and a dummy that is non-executable macro is created. Understood now?
Yes.
Okay. Now let's see your second method. Now you can write a second method where you can combine both the programs together. So see what it's telling. Percent macro report, within it you're writing proc print, and after that you're writing percent if sys day is ampersand sys day is Friday, then do. Now why then do is coming? Because on a single expression you are writing multiple statements. Therefore you are writing then do and it's ending with percent end. Understood now? Same like your base SAS. Only difference is it's written within macros, hence it has to be preceded this keyword with percent sign. Great, understood?
Yes.
Yes.
Same thing, but in a single macro, you are writing percent macro reports, you are writing base as proc print, giving the condition with then do. Why? Because on a single condition, you are writing multiple statements, and because it's a then do, it's a group of statements, it has to end with end. Percent m and reports. Okay. So you can also do one thing. Open this demo D01 A and B. A is you're writing separate macros and B is you're combining the two reports within a single macro. Go ahead and open this demo and work on these two demos. Now let's move with your third method, which is processing complete statements. Here you are going to make use of a statement called percent include. Now what is this percent include? Make a note. Though it is presided as percent, it is not a macro statement. You can use this percent include with your base SAS also. Now what this percent include is doing. So look at this program carefully. So it's doing like you are writing a macro percent reports. Percent include within a path you
Ashwini,
provide. Yes.
Ashwini, it is still showing the
Method 2 slide.
yeah, yeah,
One sec. One sec. One sec. Okay. Now you can see this.
Yes.
Okay.
yes,
So third method is you are going to write a single macro report. Within it, you are going to make use of a statement called percent include. Okay, so this percent include, though it is preceded with a percent sign, it is not considered as a macro statement because it can be used anywhere without a macro. Okay, so it can be used without a macro within your SAS programs also or outside of any of your macro. So it could be like your global statements like label name or options or titles. So it's no need of writing within any of the macro restricted programs. So it is an independent statement and it is not restricted to execute only with macros. Okay, why? I'll tell you. So it's telling this percent include is a statement where you can directly provide the path where you have your program saved. Okay, so you can write separately the daily program and save it as SAS program. See its extension .ss. So you write a separate program of daily within your macro, you write percent include, give the path, and within that path, you are asking it to call this SAS program. Then you write your condition. Again, you can include your statement with %include, give a path, and where you have saved your physical code of your weekly report, that code you give the path. So what this %include statement does, it retrieves SAS source code from an external file and places it onto input stack. It is a global SAS statement, not a macro language statement. Okay, so this source to is an additional option if you want to display inserted statements in your SAS log. So it's an additional option. You can always debug what this option is. But what %include does is it directly reads the program onto your into input stack. Okay, and then it processes. So no need of writing daily as you were writing here, daily report with procprint or weekly report with procprints. So you save this as a separate code, you save this as a separate code, and you directly call it or you directly execute it by using %include statement. All right, so you have this. I'll explain this also. Okay, so where is this daily? Where is this weekly? So if you have observed this code carefully, within your SAS macro, we do have our macros for print. It's see weekly.ss. So if I want to see what weekly is, I can quickly open it. It's having nothing but proc means. Okay. Then about your report, alphabetically, do you see anywhere report? It's a macro program, see a running man icon, and it's ending with an extension .ss.
Daily in a day, DD you can see. I think.
D, na? Sorry. Yo, see? So you have weekly, you have daily. So this is daily, which is proc print. This is weekly, which is your proc means, which is your summary report. And this is all together. Simply write %macro reports, %include, give the path. Now what this path is, your path is going to be your macro program path, correct? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a macro for my path because I'm going to require this path regularly to be used. So what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to copy this. I'm not copying this daily because it's the part of this MC1, correct? So I may write this %let path equal to, give your path. And if you want to check what this path is, %put ampersand equal to path, correct? So when I check this, it's giving me path macro variable is my this physical path where I have my code. So now let's call this. First execute. So it's compiled without any errors, so many instructions and so many space of storage. I call it. Now because of this, when I'm calling it, this is a syntax error. It's not able to read this. Why? Because in my program, I have to specify this because it's not your desktop installation. It's my server software. So I need to change this slash also. Correct? Now recompile and recall it. That's it. So when I called my percent report, see it's telling because of mlogics is on, it's telling beginning of your reports is started. Okay, so symbol gen, the path is resolved. Why? Because immediately with percent include you had ampersand path. Hence, this symbol gen is telling path resolved to this value. So it's within your reports, it is going to copy the code for daily. Correct? Hence, this is the proc print. So it's executing your proc print. Then, of course, no observations. So it's 0 rows. Because of your M logics M print, its title and all it's showing. And because of M logics, your condition is false. So it's not executing your proc means. Hence, it's telling execution for report is ending. Understood? So this is what percent include does. So I can also make use of this percent include to be written independently anywhere outside my program. So even if I call this, it's going to, what it's going to do is percent include is actually a very simple technique where with percent include it directly goes to the path where your code you have saved it physically, and it takes that code and puts it on input stack to process. So this is how percent include is working. So there is no error as I've not included in any of your macro. I've written it independently. It's same like your global statements as we write with libname options. Same is with person include. So you can always make use of this where you create the program, save it physically, and directly execute it by placing with input person include. It directly places this code onto your input stack to process your processing of that program. So with this, it locates where the code is. So with this path, it goes to it and opens this code directly into input stack and processes your program. Understood how person include works? And you have to be very careful with this slashes. All right. So this is what it's telling you about person include. So it's telling it retrieves SAS code, source code from an external file and places onto your input stack. It's a global statement, not a macro language statement. Correct? So it can be written anywhere into your program. So see, now the same business scenario. Okay, so before moving with a new business scenario, just open this D01 for D01C for this current method and use this. Same I have done it. Try it out. So Priyanka, just check your path. Okay, so this path should be your MC path, MC1 path. And this, of course, it's a macro. See to it that you're using correct slash, and then accordingly you call it. So even if it's not working, let me know and share your screen so that I will look into your screen and I check what is the error. So others, please hold. I'm just looking with Priyanka now. She cannot speak due to some issue. She's typing out for us. So accordingly, I'll have to look into her screen also. So is it working now, Priyanka, after giving this appropriately? Okay, you do one thing. Show me your screen. I'll stop sharing from my end. Show me your screen. What are you trying to tell me? Priyanka, that's what I was trying to tell you, that what you have written, it should include what path you are giving. So that's what I was showing you on my screen, that you need to give this ampersand path. Now where this ampersand path is going to come? It's going to come only when you write it in your program. So did you give SAS what path is? You did not give. So you need to tell what path is, right? So you need to give this, giving percent let path equal to, and you need to provide your MC path, MC1 path. So this is going into its properties. Copy this. Because you did not give the path correctly for your system, it's not going to work. Understood now? That's what I was showing you on the screen as well. So if you want to check what path is, you know how you check it. You write percent put ampersand equal to, and you write this path. So now when you execute this, you'll find you have created your own macro for your path. Okay, so it is restricted to your MC1 folder. So within your MC1 folder, if you check on the left hand side, you will find your daily. See, this is your daily code. See, daily code. See, same thing. If you scroll down later on, once I stop sharing, you will find weekly code also. Slowly, slowly, it's into W. One sec, you don't do anything. Just, yeah, you don't move your cursor. See, this is weekly. So your code is already there in this path. Which path? Your MC1 folder. Getting it? Now you change this, create. Now you call this. First of all, you create it. Why are you saving it? One sec. Call this, or simply create this macro by compiling it. All right. Now, because you have not opened any of the system options, you're not getting the compilation message. So options, M compile, you have to keep this on whenever you're writing a macro. Step by step, once we'll compile your macro, we'll check in log whether this is compiling without any errors. Yes. Then you go back into your code and call it. So because of your mlogics, mprint, because you are calling your percent report, you see this detailed information about after calling what are the statements happening, and this is what its daily is executing. And because of your mlogics, it's checking for your condition as well. But your condition today is false. Why? Because it's not at all system day Friday. Hence, it will not execute your further statements because this condition is false. All right, all good. If all good, then please stop sharing. I'll give up the remote control. Okay, thank you. All right, so here we go. Fine. So I hope everyone understood how percent include works. So it's a very simple technique. Normally also you can use it anywhere in your program. So though it is preceded with percent sign, it is not a part of your macro language statement. Okay, so it can be used anywhere in your program, but it's not same like percent if, percent then. So in case if you try to use this percent if, percent then in your data step, it will give you an error there. Why? Because that is a SAS language, whereas this is your macro language. Hence, this keywords has to be preceded with percent sign. All right. Okay. Now let's move ahead with your next business scenario. It's now we are going to see how one can include the partial statements within your macro with your conditions. Because if you remember the very first statement, what it was telling, this actions can include a macro language statement a macro variable reference, or a call, or any text. So we'll see these examples in this current scenario. So it's telling us to generate frequency reports for all order types or a specific order type. So depending on your condition, what you're writing within your macro, you're using an input table called order fact, where you want to generate a report between 1st Jan 2011 to 31st December 2011. So it's telling you need to create a frequency reports on all types of your orders. Now you know there are three types of orders placed. One is one is your retail type of order, correct? One sec, please hold on. So we need to generate a report between these two dates. Depending on the criteria, you know, order type are of three types of order. One of order type means the order placed is via retail. Two order type value means it's catalog sale, and the order type value 3, it indicates it's internet sale. So depending on your requirement of your business, in case if it's required to generate a report for all the order types, it should execute this proc frequency report. Else, if it is required on a specific order type, see, this title is changing appropriately and you're getting a frequency on how many or what is the frequency count for order type 3 placed for your data of from your customers in specific given dates. So for this, you're going to write a program. You're automating the same thing. Okay. So hence you're processing this by using percent include, percent if then else statements with complete statements. So one of the examples of this program where the actions which you're using, either you can write a SAS macro statements or a SAS or a macro call or a macro language statement, macro variable reference, or any text. So with this example, we are going to check this percent if percent else in this current scenario. All right, I hope you people are able to correlate what I'm trying to tell you. So we are going to write a macro called as macro count with parameter lists, proc fric on your data set, where your order date between start and end dates or stop date. So what is the start and stop? Because you have used a parameter of this macro, you can use it in your macro variable to be resolved in this where statement. So table statement, I hope you remember with procfric is actually the statement where you're selecting the analysis variable. So it's about quantity. You're writing title 1. So title 1C, orders from ampersand start to ampersand stop. Percent if your type value is missing, then do the title 2 should be all reports or all order type reports. And else do your title 2 should be for a specific order type only, and this where should be same as your earlier where to subset your data on dates, but it is augmenting your earlier where expression that include your previous where and also subset your data on order type equal to ampersand type. All right, so you are using this where multiple where statement, but use this keyword same. Okay, why? Because this same is telling the where statement used earlier should be kept along with this criteria. It should also subset your data on order type equal to ampersand type. So this is to subset your data when a specific order type is called. So see, when you're calling it, you're calling with null parenthesis. So it will work with default values where type is missing. But when you call this with another type value as 3, so it will subset your data for order type 3 and it will generate a report as expected like this. Got it everyone? Look at this code carefully. Observe this code. I'll show you it as a demo also, but observe this code.
Yes, Ashwin.
Others?
Yes, Ashwini.
Vikram, Shanmuga, Priyanka, were you able to understand this code?
Yes, Ashwini.
And I hope you understood this multiple where statement with this keyword same.
Yes.
Okay, I think in our base SAS I had showed you when we write multiple where statement what happens, right? So in case if you want to check it again, I'll just show you this one of the example. Okay, so we can write suppose simple proc print data equal to, so suppose we'll take this as help dot cars var type make model MSRP, where I'm going to subset this data telling type equal to suppose it's
Ashwini, are you in
sedan.
SAS Studio?
Sedan, yes, I'm sorry. All right. And I write where type equal to XUV. Now tell me what will happen if I execute this program. Will my report be generated on subsetting on both the criteria, or the report which I'll be getting will be on which criteria?
It will be for XUV.
Why?
Uh, because we are using multiple where statement, right? Without
Mm-hmm. So
so it will replace, right? Sedan will be.
absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Dharni, Priyanka, Shanmuga, Vikram, Arun. I hope you people have understood what Swarupa is trying to tell you. So see,
Yes.
it's giving you this statement. Fine. So type value XUV maybe we don't have, so it's not giving you any observations. So leave that. But this is what it's telling. Okay. So what is happening? We know SAS process when you are submitting a program, it processes the program sequentially from top to bottom. So it encounters this statement first of your where. So it will subset your data on sedan. But immediately there is another where type is XUV. So what was that? Because there is another where, it's telling your where clause is replaced. Why? Because your earlier where already subsetted your data, but immediately there is another where. So it's working on the recently executed where statement. Now in your data we don't have XUV, but we have SUV. Okay. So let's check. See, report on SUV. Got it? So that is what it's telling. Your where got replaced and it's working only on recent SUV. It's not giving you sedan values. Now, if you want the sedan values also, you know there is another way you can join these two criterias together by using and here. Correct? But instead of that, I keep this where statement, I write the keyword same and I use and. Why and? Because ideally, if I would have worked with working on the single where statement, I would have given like this. Correct? But I don't want to give it in this form. Hence, what I'm doing is I'm keeping my second where statement as it is, and I want my earlier criteria also to be worked out and my second criteria also worked out. So I'm keeping the second where statement, I'm giving a keyword same. So what this same indicates is just an augmentation to your earlier where, that keep my earlier where statement as it is, along with it execute this new where with this criteria. So now let's check. So it's telling where clause has been augmented, but the given criteria where you are selecting the values where type is sedan, same as, so sedan maybe we do not have in small case, it could be in upcase, that's why it's not giving you the values. So if you want to check it, let's check into your data set. It's SAS help, check for cars. So this criteria of both the values, it's not matching. Hence, it's not selecting the value. Sedan is true, but the criteria along with this, with sedan and SUV is not coming true. That is why it's not able to select the values. So it's telling it is zero observation selecting from your sashelp.cars where you're selecting for both the criteria. But see, it's telling where clause has been augmented. That means your earlier where is working, along with it, it's working with your second where also. All right. So this is what in our current example also we are doing it. Fine. So I'll show you this demonstration. So it's your demo with D02. So with lesson 5, demo D02. Okay, so you know this is your macro where you are creating these parameters. So you are calling it with null values. So when you're calling with null parenthesis, it will work with default parameters. So you're here, you're not giving any type values. That means where this type is used, this type is used for your title, okay, and for your title too, telling all your order types. That means it's not going to filter your data to subset your data on order types. So it will give you all the order reports. So let's execute this. See your title to all order types. So this is the frequency report for all your order types. For every quantity of all order types, this is the frequency count. Okay. So let's check the program flow in your log. So this was your macro, which I have saved it, which it's telling it is saved successfully. So when you call your macro with null parenthesis, because of M logics, it's telling beginning of your macro count started. So within your macro itself, immediately you had a parameter which is processing. So within this, we had type parameter, start parameter, stop values. So because type currently is null value, correct? Why null value? Because when you had created this macro as a parameter list, it's a keyword parameter list. So the value you have not provided, so it's currently blank. Hence, the values for your type is null. So start value 1st Jan 2011, stop value 31st December 2011. So it's subsetting your data. It's telling, it's representing it. So with tables, it is going to process the quantity values for table for frequency. Correct? Title 1, it's resolving the values for start and stop. Now look at this condition. If your condition ampersand type is missing, why missing? Because in your program you had created this statement telling if ampersand type is missing, then do title 2 for all your orders. So is this condition true as per your current criteria? So this is true, hence your title 2 is processing, and that is why we are getting frequency report for all the orders placed between these two dates. Got it? And that is why you get this report. Understood, everyone?
Yes.
Yes, Vishwini.
Okay. Now, what I'll do is I call this with count value type equal to 3. Now, let's check. Rest all the parameters are as it is for start and stop date. So it is as it is. So look at your type now for your 3 value as title 2. Okay. For order type 3, which is internet type of orders placed, the quantities and its frequencies. Okay, so let's check your log. So when I called this macro with parameter value equal to 3, this is what it's telling. Because of your type value is 3, it's going to subset your data. So see, it will process all your previous statement for title and where. So it's coming to this condition. If condition ampersand type is missing, so is it missing currently? No, it is the type value you have provided is 3, correct? Hence, it's false. Now, because it's false, your second title statement to give your title 2 that it is for type 3 only, it's getting executed. So if you want to check your program, this is what is happening. So earlier this value is false. Now because it's false, your title 2 will work and your where statement is augmented along with subsetting of your data for your start and stop values. It will also subset your data for type equal to 3, and that is what is happening here. So your where same is type equal to 3, so it's telling your where clause has been augmented along with this where to subset your data with dates. It's also subsetting with your type equal to 3 values, and that's why now you are getting only 14 observations which are being selected as per this criteria. Understood?
Yes, Ashwini.
Yes, sir.
Great. So this is how you can pass on the partial statements or your complete SAS statements within your percent if statements. All right. That is all about this example. So see the same thing. So in earlier when you call it with null parenthesis, the condition is true. So it will give you the report for all order types. Then you call it with your type equal to 3. It's telling this condition which you have provided ampersand type is equal to missing is false. Hence it moves with other statements and you get this output. Okay. All right. So you can also insert individual statements within your data step. So within your percent if percent then you can insert individual statements. Now look at here. You're creating a macro named or macro variable called place, where this place values will be upcasing on your ampersand place. Now what is this ampersand place? It will be a macro variable where you will be calling it in this macro. You're creating a data set customer from oran.customer, and you are writing and you are creating this customer on a specific data for your country. So it's telling ampersand place value is US, then do subset your data for country value US, keep this columns end. Now this end is on this condition for then do. You are writing another else do to if it is going to create this data set customers, telling if your condition for your country is not equal to USA. Okay, so the customer data should be not equal to USA. Then you're keeping these columns and you're creating a new variable location with the length of 12, and you are telling the country values are not equal to USA, then all other countries, and of course create a new column location by giving the values of those countries. And so what are you doing? So with your single condition, you're writing multiple statements. So insert individual statements within data step by using this criteria. Now look at this code carefully, understand this code, and then I'll move ahead. Observe this code carefully. Yes, Sarupa, what's your query?
Uh, the last one, like percent, when we are calling the customer at the
Mm-hmm.
international, so it will give all other countries.
Okay, so good question. So let's check this demo. But I hope this code is understood to each one of you. Shanmuga, Priyanka,
Yes,
Nilima,
yes, Ashwini.
Vikram, Arun. Okay, so let's call this. So international is a keyword which you are asking it to subset your data to create a new report. But do we have international value in your data set?
No, I didn't see that, so I asked. There is,
No, no. I'm just telling you. Understand, this is the value place which you are calling.
yeah, US I
So
got.
that means it's a macro. Got it? So we'll see how it works now. Okay. Good question. But let's see now. First, let's compile your macro program. Okay, it got compiled without any errors. Now let's call with US value. Now, though you are giving it small case US, it will work because within your macro, you have given this statement to upcase it. Got
Actually,
it?
can't see your screen.
Now you can see.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've compiled this. I selected till here and I've compiled it in log. So it's telling it got compiled without any errors. Now, when I'm calling this first macro, which is %cust US, so it's small case US. Okay, no worries of small case because within your macro, we have given this %let statement to upcase it.
Yes.
Getting it?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Now let's call and check every statement in the backend. Now, because option statement we have already executed earlier, it's the same session. I no need of using or re-executing my option statement. So it's telling work.customer data is created. So see the country value is only US. Okay.
Yeah.
Now let's see how it has worked. You have called this. So because of mlogics is giving you the message that execution of your macro cust has begun. Then within it, you had a %let statement where you was telling %upcase ampersand place. Hence, this ampersand place is resolving to small case US. Now, because you had a %let statement immediately, this variable is now going to be upcased. Why? Because of this program statement. Got it?
Yes.
Everyone?
Yes, Ashwin.
Shanmuga?
Yes, Ashwini.
Vikram? Okay. So this was a code. Now let's check step by step. %let. So it's telling it's resolving to macro place. It's going to be US. Okay, US. So now this data set it's going to create where you're asking this macro variable place to be resolved to USC. It's now upcase USA. So it's checking for this condition. Yes, it's true. So it will subset your data for where country value is US, and hence you are creating a data set where a data set for country equal to US value is been selected. So there are 28 observations for customer with country value as US. And finish. Why? Because this condition was true. It's not going to move ahead with your second statements which you have given your else do, which is not equal to US. Now I call it with international. Okay. So look at here now how it works. One sec. All right. So I'm calling this only this with international values as my macro parameter. So it's taking time. Just hold on. So meanwhile, even you try to open this code and execute it on your end with international as a value for calling it.
Here it's giving all the other countries other than US with 49.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So look at the condition at the back end. Go and check your log for your if then else statement. So is that condition for US true? It's false. Therefore, it's moving ahead to create a data set with the name internet customers with having all other values for country apart from US.
Yes, Ashwini.
All right. So understood at the back end how it's working?
Yes.
Looking into your log.
Yes, Ashwini.
Priyanka, Shanmuga, Vikram, great. So if you have understood this, so let it take its own time. I'll move ahead. So this is how it's working, correct? So see, in log it's giving you the condition is true for US, hence a data set created only with customers from USA. But now when you call it with the value as international, this condition is false. Hence, it's working with your another statements where country is not equal to US. And it's going to create a data set with customers with all the country values apart from USA, and also check a new column location is created for this values. Check this new data set. Do you have this new column location?
Yes, we have.
Yes, Ashwini.
Great. Now, just a discussion point. What is the difference between percent if, percent then, and simple if then? We have already discussed. You give me the answer.
Percentage if we use in macro functions.
Okay, it's not function, macro program.
Hmm.
Function is a different thing, Shanmuga. It's a macro program, right? What we are writing it, percent report.
Yes, we are using
Okay,
this in macro
macro
programs.
programs, yeah, or a macro statements. Those are macro statements. Whereas if then simple, it's a SAS statements, and it's written only in your base SAS code with data step. All right. So see the
Yes.
same thing. What is the difference between percent if, percent then, and if then? So it's valid percent if, percent then in your macro definition. This is valid in your data step. Perform SAS code text processing. This performs your data processing. This works in macro processor. Why? Because it is macro language. This works in your simple data step compiler. Purpose of percent if, percent there is determine that SAS code to place on input stack for tokenization, compilation, and eventual execution. Whereas here, determine what data step statement or statements to execute during each execution time iteration of your data step. Correct? Okay, now let's understand another business scenario. So it's telling create a macro that conditionally generates a one-way frequency report or a two-way frequency report. I hope you remember what one-way frequency and two-way frequency report is. Base SAS. Everyone,
Yes, Ashwini.
great. So you are going to use a single table customer DEAM, and you're going to write a program in such a way that if it is a one-way frequency, you have a single column in your tables. But when it is a two-way, you write the two columns with asterisk sign. I hope you remember. So this column takes the column alignment in your output result, and this takes your row alignment. Correct? I hope you remember. That means it is a cross tabulation type of report. So you are having a combined, or you have a combination for these two columns for frequencies. Correct? Age group and customer gender. Here it's a single column, so it's a one-way frequency report, right? So now let's see how with percent if, percent then, you're going to process this condition with single macro. All right. So look at here. Look at the macro carefully. So creating a macro named counts, giving this title. Okay, you're writing procfric tables. You're giving a statement. Now instead of giving a column where it is to be analyzed, you're giving a condition. Percent if ampersand rows not equal to missing. Percent then ampersand rows asterisk sign semicolon customer gender, run, amend for counts. So it's this conditionally insert text into middle of your statement. This is the example with percentage percentile. So you're generating either a one-way or a two-way frequency table depending on parameter values. Now let's check this by calling. So it's demo D04. So it's still working here. Stop this. Okay, so you people just open D04. Someone just share your screen and I'll explain there. Anyone, either Priyanka, Swarupa.
Shall I?
Okay, no problem, Nilima.
Are you seeing Ashwini?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, so give me the remote access. Okay, fine. Now don't move your cursor. All right. I hope you people can hear me. Am I audible?
Yes, Ashwini.
Yes, Ashwini.
Okay, and you can see this current screen, correct, which has been shared. Now look at here. It's telling you have a macro program counts and you are creating a parameter for it called as rows. So within it, you know what you are processing. It's a proc frequency where you're going to process a data set orion.customer_dim. So tables, you know what tables is with proc frequency. This is a statement where it will select the analysis variable for frequency report, correct? So currently you're not giving any value over there. Okay, you're writing a conditional statement telling percent if ampersand rows not equal to missing, percent then ampersand rows asterisk semicolon customer gender run count. All right, let's first create a macro called counts. Check it for its compilation message, whether it is compiled without any errors. Yes. Go back to your code. I'm calling it with null values. Look at your statement. If ampersand rows is not equal to missing, then ampersand rows. Okay. Now understand with asterisk sign, semicolon, customer gender. Understand the statement. You call it with null value. So it's telling customer counts by gender. Now why gender? Let's check your log. So when you called it with null parenthesis, because of your M logics and all, this is telling the dialog. It's beginning the execution for counts. So this parameter rows is been showing the value is missing. Why? Because you have called it with null value. So value for row is null. Title customer counts by gender. Now it's telling procfreq has been executed. Within it, we had a statement with percent if telling condition ampersand rows not equal to missing. So is it false? Yes, it's false. Why? Because it is missing. Why? Because rows is resolving to missing. So what condition you have provided? If condition ampersand rows is not equal to missing. So is it false or true? In our current scenario, what is the rows value resolving to? Everyone,
Null.
null. So it's what is this condition? Not equal to missing. Is this condition true currently? It is missing, right? It's a null value. That row values is missing, correct?
Yeah.
That's why this condition is false, right?
Yeah.
That is why tables, it will work only with your single column customer gender. Understood now? Because in your statement you have given this already one column. Understood?
Yes.
That is why the result which you are getting is a frequency report only on customer gender. Fine. Now I'm calling it with age group, customer age group. Okay. Now this parameter I'm passing on the value for rows is customer age group. Now check. This is what I get. Customer gender versus customer age group. Why I am getting this? It's because when you called it with your parameter value as customer age group, okay, so it's resolving. So your macro where your variable is rows is resolving to customer age group column from your data set. So what was your condition? Ampersand rows not equal to missing. Is it true?
Yes.
Why? Because we have passed on the value by giving some column name. Therefore, it's true, and that is why your table statement will be age group asterisk customer gender. Now, where this has come from? It's because in your program you had given the statement that ampersand rows asterisk along with your customer gender. Got it now? So this will look as a very simple program without a macro. If I write proc fric data equal to Orion dot customer underscore dim table tables. So it will be seeing it as customer underscore age underscore group asterisk. What's your next column? Customer underscore gender. So this has been seen in this way normally if you call it with this parameter value. Now when we write asterisk, you know it gives you a cross tabular report this way, right? So you know the column which you have written next to semicolon takes the column dimension, whereas this takes the row dimension. So the one which is written next to table statement before asterisk, see it's taking the row dimension which is the age group, and your gender is taking the column dimension, see male and female. This is your rules for frequencies. Now what is this? So this is frequency percentage, row percentage, column percentage. Understood everyone? So that report is exactly similar like when you call this. So see now, when I call this both, understood? So this is my simple SAS proc frequency, and this is with my macro proc frequency. Understood everyone?
Yes, Ashwin.
Ashwini, why we have to give the semicolon after asterisk?
It's because if this is false, right? If this is true, why this is true? If it is not equal to missing, that means when I call it with
Okay, and then
blank.
we'll okay.
Yeah, so it is true when it is false that it is not equal to missing. That means it will take tables only with customer gender.
Okay, yeah, got it, Ashwini.
Got it now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Others? Shanmuga, Priyanka, Nilima.
Yes, Ashwini.
Okay. Priyanka, Nilima. Okay. So Nilima, you please stop sharing.
Okay.
One sec. All right. So this was all about. Okay. So see, when you called it with a null parenthesis, so see, it will look like this. Got it now?
Yes.
Correct? Yes. And when you call it this way, it will look like this. That's it. And you have a exercise. So what is the exercise here? It's all about conditional processing. So very simple exercise. Just open this page 5-15, level 1, exercise 1, conditionally processing complete statements. Move ahead and work on this conditional programming and work as what they are said here. It's exercise level 1, exercise 1, page 5-15. Open a ready to use code E01. Go ahead and work on this. Okay. So this was what is expected. See, if your ampersand cust type is missing, then do var this columns title all customers end. Else do where customer ampersand ID, whatever the ID when you call it. Okay. So let's creating this macro. Fine, macro is created without any errors. So first and foremost is, let's call it,
Listing with blank.
yeah, one sec. One without a value and one with values. Okay. So first thing is I call it without parameter value. So when it is null, that means this condition is missing. That means it will give you the title all customers. So let's call it with null values. Got it? So see, no OBS is not coming. Why? Observation column is not coming. Why? Because in your proc print, you have used no OBS. Now I'm calling with customer type ID as 2010. So it's working only to subset your data with 2010. And of course, there is no OBS column also. Got it? Check this. Show me your code. Just share your screen. Okay, rest. Swarupa, Shanmuga, Vikram, you
Done,
people are
Ashwini.
able to work. Why are you writing this again at the bottom proc print?
I just want to see only this.
Okay, okay. Don't move your cursor now. I asked for the request for control your screen. All right. So this was all your program. So compilation was all good. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So listing with null parenthesis. Okay. It's not able to read it. Proc print data is equal to this. Ampersand cust is missing. Then do and else do ampersand cust type is missing. Is everything the cust type and all spelling correct? Because it should subset if you're calling it with missing, correct? It's not giving you any rows. That's what you're telling. Customer data. Proprint orient dot customer. Is it customer or customers? Just check the data set.
Customer it is.
Otherwise, it would have given, no, the data set is not available, right?
Yeah.
But it's not giving you that also. All right. Mm. There is no message also coming of your system. Do one thing when you not get. Okay, one sec. What's the log telling when I scrolled up? Quotation string currently being processed. See, something is going somewhere. See, when earlier you might have used something where your macro did not save correctly. So you have to be very careful when you're creating a macro program. Because if in case if you re-execute with the wrong macro again and again, your system gets hanged and therefore it's not processing anything. So it's not giving any message, whether it is compiled without errors and all. So it's not giving anything in log. So in that case, what happens, if you even if you still think everything is all good, okay, save your program, shut down your system, and restart with a new session. Go ahead, start a new session.
Yeah, same happened with me. So I signed out and I'm again signed in.
Oh, so it worked out with you, Swarupa, then?
I'm just still uh, typing the code. I was not
Save, huh?
aware in what is happening, so I just signed out.
Okay, okay. So you have to be very careful when you're writing macros in these scenarios, okay? Any scenarios, macros are very sensitive. If the program is incorrect and you try to save it and again you execute, it hangs your system. One sec. Write options. Okay, give me the control for your screen. One sec. All right, it's already there. Options. Because of this call, maybe it's having something. Now it will work because earlier that macro which we had called, it was not having any end of your statement, correct? So always see to it when you're writing a new statements, and if those are not highlighted in blue, just begin with a semicolon there, okay? So that
Okay.
it understands that yeah, it is the end of your earlier macro, you're starting with the new statements. So even that sometimes get some issues. M compile not equal to all M logics M print. Let's make of symbol gen also. It's a statement, end it up. Let's create a macro first. Okay, now it's giving, say, macro listing compiled without errors, so many bytes of space and so many instructions. Call it with null parenthesis. Done.
Yes, yes. Okay.
Then call it with a customer ID.
Okay.
Done.
Yes.
Swarupa, is it working for you now? But just remember, if you're using the same code and if you have called any macro earlier, just give one semicolon before starting any program. All right,
Yes.
Yes.
Swarupa,
Yeah, Ashwin.
is it working for you?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Um,
great.
My
Others?
if was not it was not blue also, so it's just
Acha, हाँ, okay. Others? Shanmuga?
Done, Ashwini. The first time
Great.
also.
All right. So with this, we'll stop our day. Okay. So our next class will start with our next topic, which is all about your macro programs itself. But your next topic is going to be iterative processing. No, parameter validation. All right.
Okay,
Next.
Ashwini.
So we'll start with parameter validation for your next class. Any questions meanwhile?
No, Ashwini.
Okay, so you can stop the screen share. Thank you.